Paul and Joshua happening in December. Anything, any prediction on how it will go? Yeah, if it's not handicapped, Anthony Joshua will knock him out.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
That's the respect them both. It's not a fight I even thought of. It's nothing to do with me to start with. It come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, he's had a lot of criticism about he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but and he's fighting as a pro.
Ruled 10-ounce gloves, so they're the little ones that I knock people out with. And when AJ's got them on, trust me, you can feel them knuckles through the gloves. Big heavyweight with the same size gloves as what I had on. So it's not 14 or 16 ounces what you spot.
Shannon Sharpe confronting Jake Paul live on air isn't just media drama. It's two worlds crashing into each other. And the moment it happened, you could feel the tension spike. Shannon didn't come in to joke around. He came in sounding like a man who believes Jake is crossing a line in boxing history. And he wasn't shy about saying it.to Shannon. This is bigger than a payday or a viral headline. He sees Anthony Joshua as a former unified heavyweight champion, a fighter who has spent his entire life building a legacy through sweat, discipline, fear, and pressure at the highest level of the sport. So when Jake Paul, a guy who started as a social media entertainer, steps up to fight someone like AJ, Shannon interprets that as almost disrespectful to the long tradition of heavyweight boxing. And that's why the confrontation exploded so fast. Shannon pressed Jake hard, questioning whether he truly understood the level of danger, whether he was glamorizing something he didn't fully appreciate, and whether he was stepping into a lane he hadn't owned. Jake, of course, fired back with confidence, the same confidence that has fueled his entire rise. He insisted he had put in the work, earned his shots, and wasn't afraid of anyone, including Anthony Joshua. The clash wasn't just about the fight. It was about what the fight represents. Shannon saw a threat to the sport's seriousness. Jake saw a chance to prove he belongs in it. And that's what made the moment electric. A generational debate, a cultural clash, and a reminder that this matchup is pushing buttons way beyond boxing.
Andrew Joshua won the gold medal. Didn't he win the gold medal for the super heavyweights in the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know Anthony Joshua's history, but I'm thinking about ring experience. That's pretty much it. And I commend Jake Paul for what he's done. I commend him for the work he's put in and how serious he's taken the sport. From going from a YouTuber and actually taking it seriously and dedicating his life to boxing and entertaining, in his own lane and creating a lane for himself in the sport. So you can't handicap a fight like this too, It's not.
He won the gold medal, Ocho, in the 2012 Olympics in London.
Yeah.
And the super heavyweight, same one Klitschko, the same one.
A live confrontation like this doesn't just happen, it ignites. And it starts the same way it always does. Jake Paul pushes the accelerator. He talks. He markets. He provokes. He calls out legends, pumps up the hype, and declares himself the face of boxing. To his fans, it's confidence. To traditionalists, it's gasoline on a sacred fire. And that's exactly when Shannon Sharpe steps in. Shannon's explosion wasn't random. It came from layers that have been building in the sport for years. Layer 1, protecting boxing.to Shannon. And to many purists, boxing isn't a social media playground. It's legacy built through discipline, sacrifice, and years of struggle. Anthony Joshua represents that lineage. Jake Paul represents an outsider pulling up to the main table after a handful of years. That tension isn't personal, but it's emotional. Layer 2, accountability. Shannon doesn't let bravado skate by unchecked. If Jake seems to minimize the difficulty or danger of fighting someone like Joshua, Shannon will challenge that immediately. Live, loud, unfiltered, and then comes a line that gets clipped, replayed, memed. Because it felt raw and real, suddenly social feeds explode. One side cheers Shannon for defending the sport. The other praises Jake for bringing new audiences and new money into it. And that's the crossroads boxing now lives at. Tradition versus evolution. Legacy versus viral reach. Stadiums versus streaming platforms. One confrontation can symbolize the entire cultural shift happening in real time. But while Shannon's exchange was blowing up online, another storyline was growing even bigger. The rumor became reality. Jake Paul was really fighting Anthony Joshua, a former two-time heavyweight champion, on December 19th in Miami. And that triggered reactions across the combat world. Logan Paul ran into Daniel Cormier and broke the news to him face-to-face. Cormier almost short-circuited on the spot. He clarified the weight rules. He shook his head. He repeated that Jake can fight, but that AJ is a whole different level. Logan pressed him again, and Cormier couldn't hide his fear for what Jake was walking into. Meanwhile, Joshua, inactive since being stopped by Daniel Dubois in 2024, came back with ice-cold confidence. Jake or anyone can get this work. No mercy. I'm about to break the internet. And then Tyson Fury chimed in with one of the wildest predictions, yet Fury claimed Jake Paul might actually knock Joshua out. Not because Jake is proven at that level, but because Tyson believes AJ's best days are behind him and Jake is young, strong, and rising. Jake was even supposed to fight Gervonta Davis earlier, until that matchup collapsed. His team says Anthony Joshua was one of several top names who accepted the call afterward. Tommy Fury accused Jake of only making offers in places Tommy couldn't travel to, adding more fuel to the feud. And then Carl Froch, never one to hold back, offered a harsh evaluation of Joshua's career. He argued that AJ's true legacy is business success, ticket sales, and popularity, not elite dominance. Froch believes AJ is out of his prime, cashing in, and fighting Jake Paul fits that clown world trend he despises. All of this, the confrontations, the predictions, the backlash, the hype, is why the fight sits at the center of the sports universe right now. That a retired champion warns it's dangerous, that a current superstar predicts an upset, that a Hall of Famer erupts on live TV. Fans can't decide whether it's brilliant or insane. And Jake Paul keeps marching forward like he was born for moments exactly like this. Whatever happens on December 19th, this fight isn't just a matchup, that it's a collision of eras, philosophies, and fan bases. That it's why the internet can't stop talking. That it's why every personality in the fight world is sounding off. And it's why the moment the bell rings, absolutely E.
Is AJ cashing out? Well, I did say a year ago when he got splattered by Daniel Dubois that he's finished now. He won't get that confidence back. He's not had any confidence, in his head. No belief for a long time. And I don't think he can get back to world level. There's a couple of new young guns now coming up and coming through. It's like a changing of the guard. And when Usyk retires, I don't know what Daniel Dubois is going to do next, but I don't know what Daniel Dubois did to him. Then he went on and lost to Usyk. But there's a few new heavyweights coming through. Moses Atalma, just to mention one. And you wouldn't start putting AJ in with any of these young up-and-comers that can punch hard, because I just don't think he's got the chance, because the ambition and the desire is going to be gone. So AJ most definitely is cashing out, and you can't fault him. Fair play to him. He's going to get a massive payday, maximise his exit route.
Carl Froch explained that, in his view, Anthony Joshua's biggest contribution to boxing has been the spotlight he brought back to the sport. Froch said that many of the people who bought tickets for Joshua's events weren't diehard boxing followers. They simply wanted to experience the scale and atmosphere of a major show. That, Froch argued, is valuable for boxing, but not enough to call it a Hall of Fame resume. He pointed out that true Hall of Fame status usually comes from sustained world title runs and wins over top-tier opposition, something he believes Joshua has not consistently achieved. Froch admitted the upcoming Jake Paul fight chips away at Joshua's standing, at least symbolically, because it places him in what Froch called the circus side of boxing. Even so, he acknowledged the financial incentive is huge, and that Joshua seems willing to take the criticism if it means securing a lucrative payday. David Benavidez offered a different angle, praising Jake Paul for daring to take on a challenge as dangerous as Joshua. Benavidez made it clear he expects Joshua to get the job done convincingly, but still applauded Paul for stepping into such a risky matchup. Paul, he said, is showing serious courage against an Olympic gold medalist and multiple-time world champion. Meanwhile, Lawrence Oakley has volunteered to assist Paul in his training camp. Having sparred extensively with Joshua in the past, Oakley said he wants to test whatever Paul is seeing in Joshua that gives him confidence. Oakley clarified that while he isn't predicting an upset, he does think Paul has enough skill to trouble Joshua in brief moments, especially if Joshua starts slowly after a long layoff. He also emphasized the massive size and experience gap, adding that the real danger for Paul begins if he lands something meaningful and wakes Joshua up. Oakley dismissed the idea of a first-round blowout, believing Joshua will take his time rather than rush for a quick finish. He also mentioned that Joshua might treat the fight like a tune-up, which could make the early rounds slightly more competitive than expected. Still, Oakley said that Joshua's reach, size, and experience make it extremely difficult for Paul to establish any rhythm unless he boxes with exceptional precision. Johnny Nelson later weighed in, suggesting Joshua has put himself in a no-win situation. He believes money is the main driving force behind this matchup, possibly up to £50 million. Nelson stressed that if Joshua knocks Paul out, critics will say it was inevitable. If he doesn't, people will question whether Joshua has declined. Nelson also questioned whether Joshua still has the hunger to reclaim a world title after being stopped by Daniel Dubois and staying out of the ring for over a year. He added that boxing's current landscape makes the Joshua-Paul matchup strangely logical. Paul generates massive attention, and Joshua can earn far more here than in many traditional heavyweight fights. Nelson argued that most of the audience will be tuning in hoping Paul finally gets humbled, and that the version of Joshua who dominated years ago would be expected to handle the job with ease. Promoter Frank Warren echoed the sentiment, calling the fight a car crash waiting to happen. He said fans will still watch because of the spectacle and the curiosity factor, but that Joshua is essentially choosing a financially safe path rather than a competitive one. Warren claimed he would prefer to see Joshua facing rising heavyweight Moses Atoma instead.